Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. John Henry Soto here. So today I'm going to be a little more gentler. I'm going to be a little bit more positive about the music industry, and I'm going to have some more information on what's currently happening. All right, let's just chill out. It's 7 a.m., folks. All right, good morning, everyone. It's 7 a.m. Welcome. My name is John Henry Soto. In Spanish, that's Juan Enrique Soto. And this will be my last show for forever. I think this is actually going to be my last uh, stream, my last online show that I'm going to be doing. And of course, today being April Fool's Day, gotcha. But I couldn't think of anything. I just thought of that on the spot. But no, I'm not going anywhere. Sorry, folks. Sorry, haters, but I'm not going anywhere. Um, it is April 1st, 2021. Yesterday's conversation, I was, I usually try to put some positive twists on things, but I think yesterday I was a little bit upset. I don't think, I know that the reason for it is because of my passion for music. I'm tremendously passionate about music. I mean, from I don't remember when I first heard music. It's just was always part of it, part of me. So it probably was in the womb before I came out, and I was already kind of doing this, just kind of mm, 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 mm. That's kind of how I was born, and I just feel that the overall energy yesterday was a little bit negative on my part. um, and I'm not apologizing for what I said. I stand behind everything that I ever say or post or whatever. But I do always like to try to have a positive viewpoint on it, even if I disagree or if I'm angry or whatever. But yesterday I felt that it wasn't the case, um, and I left and I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling like I had really communicated fully my views. I communicated my anger, which is different, right? And in today's world, right, we're living in the very sensitive world, right? People are just like, oh my god, I can't believe they said that, or can't believe they posted that, or I can't believe that, whatever it is. And this cancer culture, there's a lot of sensitivity, a lot of weak individuals that can't really take something and just let it be for what it is. As long as it's not harming anyone, it's just a viewpoint, somebody else's viewpoint. It doesn't have to be everyone. We don't all have the same viewpoint. But there is a lot of weak individuals out there that just um, don't want people to communicate their views. They want to squash them, right? Suppress them. And I tried to stay away from that. But yesterday I felt that I kind of went into the negative space and talked about current music scene. And it is a frustration because I know so many musicians out there, wonderful musicians, um, that don't have the energy flow, the financial energy, but have everything else that any of these top 40 artists that are out there now have. And that's a little frustrating. And then when you see someone taking that ability, that that power, that responsibility, and basically crapping on it, just I promise I won't get angry again. But when somebody takes that opportunity, and they make it dirty, they don't care, they're I'm too cool. um it's their right to do that, obviously, right? But it's just frustrating because it's such an ugly thing to look at. And I always remember Maya Angelou, who said, she had one of the greatest things, right? People won't remember what you said, they won't remember what you did, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And when I hear music, good music, it makes me feel great. When I hear an artist just being completely vulgar, I don't feel good. I don't know what the hell anybody was saying in these songs. I don't care what they were saying. I pick up words here and there. It just made me feel, ugh, and that really is the opposite of what music should be doing. Now, okay, if people say, well, it's the song of the year, it's on the Billboard chart, well, that should tell you really who's pushing that music, number one, and the people that are consuming it and really love it. It just tells you where society is going as a whole, and that's where the tragedy lies. Now, I wanted to take a more positive viewpoint today, and just talk a little bit about um, my life with music and my experiences, and how music really did, um, not to, you know, this is really an understatement, but music saved my life. It literally saved my life. If it wasn't for having that musical outlet growing up in the environment that I grew up in, I don't know what I would have turned to satisfy my creative needs. Um, I mentioned yesterday I was had a guitar at the age of 5. Or my grandmother, my great grandma, told me that I would play guitar. I would be a musician. She came to visit one day and she said, "Come over here," Spanish, of course. And I went over there and she grabbed my hand. She, "Let me see your hand," and she's like, "So you're gonna be a guitar player?" And I was like, "Oh," I didn't really think about it, but I said, "All right, fine, whatever." And I actually felt it, in retrospect now, I felt like I was a little, like there was pressure now, I had to do this thing. But then my grandfather, at the age of about 9, took me down to a Spanish store. I say Spanish because when you walked in, there was just Spanish records playing all the time, all the time. And it was a wonderful place. It had guitars and records, and it was called El Palacio, and it was right on Southern Boulevard where I grew up. And we went there, and he looked up and he's like, "Which one do you like?" And I remember thinking, "I like that one. Why are you asking me?" I didn't know. And he bought me this guitar with this case and these little, those books that you can never learn out of, the Mel Bay books, whatever they call, Bay Mel, whatever they call, books that you can barely understand. But I had two of those books and I had the guitar, and I remember walking home just feeling like I couldn't believe it. I was just looking down, like, this is mine, and and that began the journey, because it was different. I would always listen to music, and my grandma would get a little upset because I would have to go to sleep with music. Um, and I would take we had these cassette, these long cassettes where you hit the buttons and the little cassette pops up and stuff. So I had one of those, and and when I found out that you can record with this, and I was very young, 7, 8 years old, um, I would grab it and put it by the television, and then I would just hit record, and I just have to make sure everybody's quiet 'cause I'm recording. So if I hear a song on, a band playing on the Tonight Show, this is how late I used to be up because my grandparents had a little bit of problems with my energy level, as my family does today. Um, but I would, whatever artist was on, if it was during the day, if it was whatever it was, I just wanted to record it, and I would have this cassette and I would listen to it later on, over and over again. And then when I found out you can record over stuff if you don't want it anymore, I was like, oh my god, I can just record over it. And I would record over stuff, and it was just a whole world that I had in my head with this little machine, and the sounds that I was trying to get. And then when I had the guitar, I remember coming home and my uncle was there, or he came to visit. Um, he was my grandmother's brother, and he taught me my first chord, which was an E chord. And he basically grabbed my fingers and he said, "It goes here, it goes there, put your fingers up here." And I remember when I put my fingers there and I held them there, he turns to my grandfather and he was like, "Oh, he's got good fingers for guitar." the fingers really stay there, And I remember thinking, oh yeah, okay, I got good fingers for a guitar, and feeling pretty proud. And I hit the chord, and it was for the first time ever that I was me physically in my body creating the sounds that I was hearing, creating music, creating that. Remember, music is the only art form that is really difficult to explain. Um, like for any atheist or for anyone who just doesn't believe in an afterlife, or who doesn't believe in spirituality, or doesn't believe in a lot of different things, music is really the most difficult thing to explain for them, because music does something directly to the individual, right? It's not a thing that you have to visualize, right? You don't have to touch it, you don't have to taste it, smell it, right? It literally goes directly into your ears and into your body. It's a direct thing. It's like communication, right? Communication is, I'm saying these words, you're listening to these words, you're taking them in, you're duplicating them, you're having your own uh, thoughts about it, and then you're communicating them back. Um, well, music is the same thing. It's just a direct thing. And I remember when I hit it, it was so direct to me. It just was like I just created this thing that I was so blown away by. I did that, you know, and that to me really was, it blew my mind. And it was, of course, the moment that I decided, this is going to be what I'm going to devote my life to, in music, and playing and stuff. And then began years and years of not playing at all after that. 9 years old, 10, 11, 12. It wasn't until I was about 14 years old, 15 years old, that I saw that there was a kid that lived down the block here, and in not here in Bayonne, but in the Bronx. I'm actually literally there now, so that's why I said down the block here. Um, but he had a bass guitar that I think was his dad's or somebody, and I remember looking at it, and it had only four strings, and I was like, oh, got only four strings. Why does it have only four strings? And then I learned about the bass, and then I heard him play something, and then I went home, and I had this guitar, and so I grabbed the guitar and I started trying to do the stuff that he was doing on that bass on the guitar. And the following day I learned to play, what was it? It was something like dun 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 dun, right? Whatever that song is, and he was playing that. Now we're in the Bronx, right? This is not something that you would hear normally. People hear, but I heard it, and that's what he was playing. So I went home and I learned it on the lower notes on my guitar, and then a few days, weeks, I don't know when it was, later when I went back to that house again, I was like, "Oh, can I play it?" And he was like, "Oh, he was like, "Yeah." And I did that, boom, boom, boom. And they were like, "Oh, he knows how to play that. Oh, that's so cool." And it was like, I felt really quite happy about that. Um, and then it became, the whole thing about you creating something that was appreciated. That became another element of music. And then I started realizing very young that about the communication that you're giving out. I wanted to be very I wanted to communicate things that were serious. I wanted to tell people deep thoughts, and I wanted to give an idea. I wanted to create ideas in people's heads based on what I was putting out. And I was one of those guys that, growing up, I didn't want to play the hits. I know that sounds weird. A lot of musicians, you start playing other people's songs. And I did that very little. I would play maybe some Eric Clapton, the lead parts, and of course a lot of Santana, as I played later on, and I still do today. But I didn't want to go out and do the exact song. I always thought that that was boring to me, because I thought, why am I going to do the exact song when the song is already there and the artist is still out there performing it? I just thought it was kind of I don't know. It was like, and I would hear people play them amazingly, even complicated things. Played amazingly, and then you would be like, cool, cool. Do you write? No, I don't write any. I've never written a song. We've never written, and that to me was like, isn't that the whole point of playing music? Is creating something that hasn't been there before? That's my own viewpoint on it. I know that there are musicians out there that are fantastic that play in like wedding bands and cover bands, and I don't have that talent. It's not anything that I feel that there's no I'm not in any position of anything. I don't think that I'm better or lower or anything. A musician is a musician, and they're fantastic. And I love musicians. Yeah, I sounded a little drunk there. I love musicians. I'm not drunk, I promise. This is 100% pure coffee. But I love musicians, and I love the fact that um, there's so many different options. You can go play for a cover band, a wedding band. You can write your own music and combine it. But I'm more excited when I hear someone present a brand new song to me, a brand new energy, mental flow, something that's never been played before, or at least it's been inspired by other things, right? And that to me is a real joy for me to do that. So I started writing very, very, very young. As soon as I can play, me and my cousin George would get together at his house, and I had this little tiny guitar and this really horrible amp. It had no distortion, or it had no sounds to it. It was just an amp. You just turn it on and there you are. So it sounded terrible. It was plastic. The outside was plastic. And I got it from Finger Hut. I don't know if anybody knows what Finger Hut is, but I got it. You you can buy stuff and then you just make your monthly payments of like, I think I was paying like $8 a month or $9 a month, something like that, for this really, really cheap guitar. But I loved it, and it kind of got me a little bit to play. It got me comfortable with playing. And so we would get there, and then he wanted to play drums, and I was like, "You should play the drums," and because he always had the drum. He loved the drums when he was much younger, but now he's a teenager, and I'm like, "Man, you should get the drums." So he did. We went, and I remember going with him to a music store, and there was a drum set. I'll never forget. It was a Sonar. No, no, it was a Percussion Plus, I believe. Um, Percussion Plus was what it was called, and he bought it, and I remember helping him set it up because he didn't know how it was supposed to be set up. And I remember just having sort of a innate understanding of drums and seeing pictures of drummers. Remember, we didn't have MTV was a thing, but we didn't have we saw a lot of videos of musicians, so that's where we get our views from. But there was no live music. There was no all these streaming platforms. You couldn't go on YouTube. There was none of that stuff. You had to just catch it when you caught it, whenever it was on TV. So I kind of knew instinctively, and I put the drums together, and we began to play. He seemed to pick it up almost from one day to the next. Like he was having the first time he was kind of learning, and then I left, and I came back the next day, and he's like, he's playing, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, wow, you can play already? What the hell's going on here? So I grabbed my guitar and we started playing, and we played every single day almost for at least 6 months to a year. And then we were ready to go out, and we started playing, with other family members that were older and much more experienced, and um, really started our band. And then I started writing songs. I wrote a song called Aftershock. It's about after like a war thing, I guess, like dropping a nuclear bomb or something. The aftershock. This is where my mind was back then, right? This was after the Cold War. Um, I wrote a song called "She's Gone," and so I was writing these songs, these really, really horrible, bad songs. But for me, they were like my own original thing. And I remember George getting all excited. Oh my God, that sounds great! We were playing these songs, And then that never really stopped. I just kept writing and kept writing, and I've written hundreds of songs now, and I have books. And throughout the years, even when I after we had a band, and a very successful band, and we had a couple of songs on the radio, and local radio, and we were gonna actually be doing some shows, and tragically we lost our good friend David, who passed away suddenly, and it kind of took the air out of what we were doing, even though we tried to kind of come together again to do it, but it was really difficult to. That void was really bad, so the group ended. But even after it ended, I continued to write, and I continued to do things. I got into film work, and film and music really go well together. That's why every film has music in it. And since the beginning of music, they had the images, and they had the piano. They had the silent films always had music, and just it fits really well together because music is so expressive. It's so you can play something very, very dun, 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 and create an emotion, and then you can go dun 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 dun, dun. And right there you have another idea, another emotion. So music and film fit really well together. So I started acting, taking some acting classes with an acting coach in New York City. I was never into the classes and all that stuff, so I just wanted to do private sessions, and I did. I found a wonderful acting coach, and we worked together for a few years. And after the first year, I got my enough courage to go out and audition. And then when I realized when I was on set, and my acting coach told me that music and acting, when you're actually performing, what you're saying, the words that you're saying, they're melodic, they're musical, there's a tone, there's variations in your voice, there's inflections that you use, and all these different techniques in acting are basically music. It's music, and when you hear a wonderful monologue, it's music. And so they went really well together, and I dove into that world. Of course, immediately after getting in front of the camera, I wanted to write my own film and direct it, and I started doing that for the last 10 years. But so this is a little bit of how important music is to me, and how valuable it is for all of us to really get our children to appreciate great music. And by great music, I mean the classics. You can listen to there's so much stuff that you can listen to. I was just listening to a song by Paul Williams, who I've met numerous times. A great, great guy, and he's written some of the most incredible melodies and some of the most incredible songs ever. Rainy Days and Mondays, Evergreen. You know, in my what's that song? In my country. I can't remember but just these great, great songs with these great melodies. And that's what I play for my kids now. I play Billy Joel. I play, Elton John, modern, late, more modern, or not even that modern anymore, but John Mayer. They love John Mayer. Bruno Mars has some really great songs out. And of course, Michael Jackson, and all these great artists that had these great melodies. Um, and that even if the songs were kind of rough and maybe a little risque, there was always that undertone of mystery in it. It wasn't so blatantly dirty. It wasn't like filth. That's not exciting to me. It's sort of like seeing like a naked woman. Yeah, there she is, naked woman. Like people who are really into the porn stuff. It's like there's just there's nothing interesting about that anymore. It's done. There it is. But when you see a woman dressed beautifully, and she's has a beautiful dress on, and she has her hair is made, and I think that that's beautiful, and that there's the mystery. There's, wow, look at this beautiful woman. Look at that's the intrigue. Even my wife, she went to work this morning, and she was dressed. She had this beautiful black dress on, this short. It was a little bit above her knees, really nice form fitting. She's got a great body. And I was like, wow, that is gorgeous. That is what I like. That is beautiful. She was naked. She was naked. You know what I mean? It's like all mystery gone. There it is. You know what I mean? And, but of course, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing either. But for music, it's like Come on, give me something. Give me some metaphors. Give me something to think about. Give me something more creative that makes you feel good at the end of the song. Not makes you feel like yeah, like some kind of weird emotion. That's my take on it. But I love music and I love people who play music, and even those artists that are creating that kind of music, maybe they're in some type of pain, maybe they've gotten in too deep and they can't get out. Maybe they'll grow out of it and put out some stuff that's really great. I look at people like who grew up in those rough environments like Mary J. Blige, who I love, and she's grown into this incredible artist, and but she had those rough beginnings. I mean, it was never like what's currently now, but she had those rough beginnings and she had those rough moments, and her careers was up and down, but she was just so consistent, and she's so freaking talented, and she just keeps moving forward, and I just love that. I have to mention Alicia Keys is just phenomenal. I mean, what a talent. I mean, just incredible music. You can go on and on with the current beautiful artists that are out there today, and those are the ones that we should really be supporting, and and those should be the songs and artists of the year, the ones that make you really feel good. The songs are just really just inject the spirit of life into your soul, and that to me is really important. So all right, folks, that's my hopefully a little bit more positive outlook on the music industry. I talked a little bit about my experience with it just so you can get some insight into where I'm coming from, the importance that I have behind it. It's true, it's sincere, I love it, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of it. And I'm really excited to hear new music. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. I will see you all tomorrow morning. Have a grunt. Have a great day out there. Make today great. Do the things that you love. Take care of yourselves. And as always, peace.